Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia and welcome back to another Better Commandery Guide video. Today we'll be taking a look at the faction unique buildings in the 8 Princes DLC. This guide is a continuation of the 8 Princes Buildings Changes guide that was released yesterday, so if you missed that one, I have put the link in the description below, so definitely go check that out. Before we start this guide, I want to clarify a few things. First off, every prince other than SIMA in the new DLC has one faction unique building chain. These faction unique building chains are all replacement building chains, meaning that they replace one of the base building chains in the game. When compared to the base buildings that they replace, they all provide better stats or add an additional stat like faction unique resource. SIMA, however, is the only prince without a faction unique building chain because his reformation resource alters the entire building system, so I'll be excluding him from this guide and saving the discussion of his buildings as part of a separate SIMA guide in the future. If you are curious about how SIMA's reformation buildings work, I have also included a link in the description below of the episode 1 of my SIMA's Let's Play, where I go over all his buildings. Hopefully that can scratch your itch until my guides for all the 8 princes come out. So let's get started. First up, we'll take a look at the vanilla Judiciary building here, because 3 of the 8 princes have a faction unique building that replaced this building right here. In our building change guide yesterday, we mentioned that this is the new administrative office building, and it functions as a corruption reduction building at the cost of a noble support, which is the new public order, and a pretty high upkeep cost. We can see at level 5, you're paying 100 upkeep per turn and losing 5 noble support for 30% corruption reduction. With so many other ways to reduce corruption, I deem this building as trash tier, as the cost doesn't justify the gains. However, if we look at YONG'S Judiciary building here, we see that the loss of noble support has been replaced with a boost of his faction unique resource of control. At level 5, the stats for corruption reduction and the upkeep costs are identical to the vanilla version, but the loss of 5 noble support have been replaced by a gain of 5 control. This makes this building much more viable and essential for SIMA if you're looking to build up your control resource. I will refrain from discussing how good or bad control is, as we're going to stick to just looking at the buildings themselves for this guide and save those other discussions for individual faction guides in the future. Next, we have LIANG'S Judiciary building. Here we see a little bit more change. The loss of noble support is also replaced by a boost of LIANG'S faction unique resource in jurisdiction. Corruption reduction is also replaced by an increase to tributes in diplomacy. Sadly, the developers forgot to replace the text that says remove corruptions from the level 1 building, as LIANG'S Judiciary no longer does that. At level 5, the only thing that stayed the same is the 100 upkeep cost, while you now get a choice between more judiciary points or a higher multiplier to tribute in diplomacy. Losing corruption reduction is not a big deal for SIMA because they can't expand as much as other factions and must rely on vassalizing others, so it makes sense to trade in the corruption reduction for tributes from vassal. Lastly, we have SIMA's Judiciary. Once again, we see that the loss of noble support has been replaced by SIMA's faction unique resource in subterfuge. And like SIMA, the corruption reduction has also been replaced here for a multiplier increase for family estate. At level 5, there's a similar trade-off between more subterfuge point or more income from family estate. The upkeep cost here is shown to have a 10% discount included because of traits from SIMA, but otherwise it's pretty much the same as changes for SIMA. Next, we move on to the conscription building here. The vanilla version 8 Princes is the same as the base game, so let's take a look at YUE'S conscription building. It looks similar, but we no longer have the population loss penalty and gained additional increase to local commandery replenishment. Removing the population penalty is a nice bonus, but the real game changer here is the bonus replenishment, which is great for SIMA, as it will assist him with his aggressive military playstyle and focus on high casualty melee combat. Next, we move on to the government support building, which if we look again real quickly here, the vanilla 8 Princes version is exactly the same as the base game, and you have a branching at level 3 that allows you to choose from either more food production or more income production. SIMA YING'S government support building has increased multipliers for both food and income at all levels. If we just compare the level 5 options here, we see that both of SIMA YING'S level 5 options provide 50% additional multiplier to both food production and peasantry income. And given how peasantry income received the most buffs in the new DLC, I think SIMA YING is the real big winner in terms of how strong his faction unique building is. Next, we move on to the military infrastructure building here. It is the same as the base game, except for it no longer provides boost to public order or noble support in the case of the 8 Princes DLC. SIMA YONG'S military infrastructure, however, provides prestige points, a boost to noble support, and an income multiplier from all sources. This is a tremendous boost that almost makes this building essential for all SIMA YONG'S commanderies, as the military infrastructure building also provides additional garrison retinue and wall trebuchet on defense as usual. Alongside SIMA YING'S government support, I believe SIMA YONG'S military infrastructure is one of the best faction unique buildings in the 8 Princes DLC. Lastly, we can take a look at the labor building chain here, which is the same in the vanilla 8 Princes and the base game. SIMA YUE'S labor building, however, adds additional construction cost discount in local commanderies to the building chain that can reach up to 25% at level 5. For someone like myself who enjoy commandery building, this boost is quite nice, but its impact on the game is limited as it only marginally saves you money to build up your commandery and becomes obsolete once your commanderies become fully constructed. The labor building chain is also not one that you want to include in your earlier builds with limited building slot, so it is difficult to incorporate this faction unique building to your commandery's build path. With that, this concludes our overview of all the faction unique buildings in the 8 Princes DLC. Hopefully this short guide can help you pick out which faction you would like to play in your next 8 Princes campaign. This weekend, I'll be releasing the 8 Princes Reforms guide, so please stay tuned for that. Once again, I want to thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye!